26 teams to go on my road to predict all 131 teams this college football off season. We're getting so close to the college football season as predictions wind down. And we're moving on to the San Diego State Aztecs, a team a season ago that was this close to winning the Mountain West title. Well, I say this close in that they made the conference championship game, but got absolutely smothered by Utah State in said conference championship game. When you look overall at this team at San Diego State, though, there is a lot to like. A lot of pieces coming back. There's a lot being gone off the offensive end, though, in some pieces they're going to need to replace. But defensively, this team has been one of the best teams in the nation defensively. Should continue to be that way in 2022. But is this the year the Aztecs can finally get on top of the mountain that is the Mountain West? Or will the Aztecs maybe even miss the conference championship game this year? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason, which means chances are I've already done your favorite team. So what you can do to find out, hit the subscribe button. I got playlists on my channel that you can look for your favorite team. But in case I haven't done your favorite team, hey, along with hitting that subscribe button, you might as well ring the bell so you know when your favorite team gets uploaded. Only got a handful of team preview predictions left to go. And if you are a fan of the Aztecs in this video, you guys are going to know a lot more about this team than me. So if you feel like I missed something and you want to add something, leave that in the comment section down below. I'd be happy to hear what you guys have to say. Let's talk about the Aztecs in 2022, my third-ranked team in the Mountain West Conference coming into the 2022 college football season. Last year, they were 12-2 overall, 7-2 in conference play. Yes, that does include the loss in the conference championship game. They had some pretty good wins on the schedule last year. They were able to beat Utah a season ago, a team that ended up going to the Rose Bowl. Some other pretty solid wins on the schedule, including their bowl win against UTSA. Now, offensively, this team has never really been offensive-minded in the first place, but 342 yards with around 27 points per game. All right, some solid numbers on the offensive end, but again, nothing great, right? But defensively, this has been one of the better defenses in the nation for the past couple seasons. 319 yards per game with around 19.5 points per game. Definitely a defense-first-minded team. And speaking of their offense, let's take a look at what they're losing off of said offense, because it is a lot, including that quarterback duo. Lucas Johnson and Jordan Brookshire are both gone now. Johnson was the leading passer last year, 1,424 yards, 12 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, while Brookshire had 830 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception a season ago. So you lose both of those guys out of the quarterback room. Either one of them would have been fine to start for the Aztecs a season ago, but they both decided to transfer out of the program. Also, running back Greg Bell is going to be gone off this team. In 245 attempts, had 1,091 yards and 9 touchdowns a season ago for Greg Bell. Also a running back in Kagan Williams, who had 268 yards and 2 touchdowns a season ago. He is gone out of this room. That was your third leading rusher a season ago. Your second and fourth leading receivers, respectively, were Elijah Koth, who had 418 yards, and B.J. Busby, who had 287 yards. You lose both of them, as well as your third leading receiver, Daniel Bellinger, who had 357 yards and 2 touchdowns last season for the Aztecs. You also lose an offensive lineman in Zach Thomas. And how can we talk about San Diego State's losses without mentioning Matt Araiza, the leg of the year last year, and he's going to be legging it up in the NFL this upcoming season. On the defensive side, Cam Thomas is going to be gone, 11.5 sacks, 71 tackles a season ago. You lose his production, as well as some depth pieces like Jaleel Leckie and Kahi Nevis in the linebacker room. Andrew Alecki is going to be gone off of this team, had 44 tackles and a sack a season ago. A linebacker defensive back duo and Segun Olubi. Again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing names. I probably am. 52 tackles and a sack a season ago. Taylor Hawkins and Trenton Thompson, 2 really key pieces, probably their 2 best defensive backs, you could argue, a year ago for this team are gone. Both of them had over 10 passes defended, Thompson with 3 interceptions, Taylor Hawkins with 2, which were both some of the leaders on this team. Now, when you look at the talent that's coming back for this team, well, if the quarterback's not Lucas Johnson, not Jordan Brookshire, who do they have back there? Well, they have a lot of freshmen back there this year, a lot of true freshmen, a lot of redshirt freshmen. But they have an experienced option coming in through the transfer portal in Braxton Burmeister. You might recognize that name as the Virginia Tech quarterback a season ago. So he is transferring over to this program. Braxton Burmeister is the clear, obvious favorite, in my opinion, to start for the Aztecs next year, as you have a lot of inexperience behind him in the quarterback room. And who knows, maybe they give some of the young freshmen some shots this year But Braxton Burmeister should be the starter out of the gate in game 1. Couple running backs for you, Chance Bell and Jordan Byrd, who were the second and fourth leading rushers on this team respectively, combined for around 600 yards and 7 touchdowns a season ago. So some solid production coming back in the running back room. You do get your lead wide receiver back in Jesse Matthews, who had 642 yards and 9 touchdowns a season ago. Also, Terrell Shavers is coming back, was the 5th leading receiver a season ago. You also have Jay Rudolph coming back, and Mark Redmond is a transfer tight end coming in. Couple tight ends I'd throw on the board there. Keyshawn Banks on the defensive end looks like an NFL-lated prospect, and how could he not be? He was fantastic last year. 34 tackles, 5 sacks. He's going to be a really solid piece to this defense this year. Jonah Tavai is coming back on this team, had 8.5 sacks a season ago. And what I assume to be his brother, Justice Tavai, is transferring over into the program. So brothers getting together on the defensive line. Not the only time we'll see that with this team, if there is any relation. Again, I'll mention that in a little bit. Defensive line, linebacker combination, and Garrett Fountain is coming back for this team. You have a linebacker in Caden McDonald who's coming back. And again, what could end up being his brother, again, I don't know if there's any relation or not, but Cooper McDonald is transferring over to the program as well. So a couple brothers presumably going to be in the defensive front 7 for this Aztecs team. But otherwise, linebackers like Michael Shawcroft, and some others you're going to see there as well. In the defensive backs, Noah Tumblin is coming back, as well as Patrick McMorris, who, again, you could argue is one of their better defensive backs a season ago. Had 90 tackles, which led the team. 9 passes defended, which was 3rd on the team. And 4 interceptions, which led the team. Yeah, the argument's really strong on why he was the best defensive back last year. But otherwise, guys like CJ Baskerville, Dallas Branch, among some other names, are coming back for the Aztecs this year. This should still be a really, really good defense, and I'm curious to see what this offense is going to look like now that Braxton Burmeister is there, now that Greg Bell is gone. The combination of Braxton Burmeister and Jesse Matthews, how is that all going to work? Very interested to watch this offense this year. As we take a look at their schedule in non-conference play, a couple Pac-12 opponents are on the schedule. You have a home game against Arizona to open up the season, and then a road game against the reigning Pac-12 champs in the Utah Utes, who they beat a season ago, did San Diego State. So, hey, watch out for that one. But the only difference, you got to go on the road to play it this time. Other non-conference games, you get a home game against Idaho State and a home game against Toledo. When you look in conference play, you have road games against Boise State, Nevada, Fresno State, and New Mexico. And then you have home games against Hawaii Air Force, San Jose State, and UNLV in no particular order. So let's dive on into this schedule. Again, some Pac-12 opponents on display for San Diego State this year. And on the schedule, they'll be playing them on the gridiron this year. Arizona is up first. Now, this is an Arizona team that I still don't think is going to be fantastic this year, but it is an Arizona team that I feel like is improving and is getting better. I do not think Arizona is going to be any sort of pushover for San Diego State, but I am leaning the way of the Aztecs, and they are the Vegas betting favorites in this game. Idaho State should be able to win there. I think Toledo is going to be a very, very interesting game to watch. Toledo is one of the favorites in the Mid-American Conference this upcoming season. And then the game against Utah. It'll be interesting to watch that game. Utah has a lot coming back this year, especially on the offensive end, but there's also a lot of talent leaving that Utes team. But with all that being said, that's still one of the favorites, if not the favorite, in the Pac-12 Conference. And some people even have them as a college football playoff team, do some people. So that is a Utah team that San Diego State has got to watch out for. Otherwise, when you get into conference play, there still are some tough games here. You got to go on the road to play Boise State, on the road to play Fresno State. Those are the two teams this year that very well could end up finding themselves playing for a conference championship in 2022. San Diego State, of course, is thrown in that mix, as is Air Force. You can find Air Force in that conference championship game this year. But San Diego State, you get them at home to cap off the season. There are some other interesting games here in conference play. I mean, you got to go on the road to play Nevada. I don't think that's going to be a pushover game. Nevada, yes, is losing a lot, but I think they're still going to be competitive and looking to compete for a spot in a bowl game. San Jose State, same thing. They lose some off of last year, but they're getting some from the portal. And it's a San Jose State team that after a breakout year in 2022 was a little bit of a disappointment a season ago, as they did not even crack the postseason. but that's a team that's looking to be competitive towards the postseason yet again this year. Now, I don't do game-by-game predictions. I do a more percentage-based outlook, tell me predict a team's record. So if the game is in red, I just don't see you winning the game. If the game is in orange, I still don't see you winning, but it is college football and upsets can happen. Yellow, your 50-50 high upset potential games in yellow green, are games that you should win, but hey, you got to watch out for the team on the other side of the ball. And the games in green, I do have you winning. So Idaho State, you should be able to win that one there. Otherwise, I do have a lot of conference games in that yellow-green color. Hawaii, that team lost a lot this year. I think they're going to need a couple years under Timmy Chang to really get things back going, and the Aztecs get them at home. UNLV, while I do think they're going to be more competitive this year than they have been in previous years, I do think San Diego State should be able to win that game, as should the game on the road against New Mexico. I don't think that's going to be a very good football team at all this year. That could be one of the worst teams in the nation this upcoming year. And San Jose State, and then San Jose State and Nevada, the two games I just talked about there for a little bit. Nevada, yes, is losing a lot. Carson Strong, Romeo Doubs, Cole Turner, and I could go on and on and on about the talent that team is losing, including their head coach in Jay Norvell, who moved over to Colorado State. But Nevada is still going to be a competitive program this year. They're still going to be looking to push for a spot in a bowl game. Nevada's a team you can't watch out for, but the Aztecs, with how good this defense is and with how Nevada's offense might struggle this year, should be able to pull out that one out. San Jose State, the Aztecs get them at home there. So SDSU, I have more than likely taking down SJSU. Now, looking at the other games again, going on the road to play Utah, that is going to be a tough game for San Diego State to go on the road and win, especially with how Utah played as of late last season. And Utah will be very well tested up to this point. They will have already played Florida and one other team whose name is slipping my mind. But they will have already played Florida up to this point in the Swamp. That is a tough game. So Utah will be ready for this game, and they know what happened last year. They're not going to want to let it happen again. Otherwise, when you look at games in yellow, I do think Toledo and Arizona are going to be some interesting games. I think Toledo provides their respective challenges, one of the favorites in the Mid-American Conference, and Arizona is a team that keeps improving. However, I do think San Diego State should be favored in both of those games, and I'm leaning the way of the Aztecs in both of those respective games there as well. But when you look in conference play, I mean, there are two really tough road games. You got to go on the road to play Boise State, a team that is losing quite a bit of talent, but when you boil it down, that's still going to be a very, very good football team there in Boise, Idaho. And then on the road against Fresno State, who very well may prove to be the best team in the Mountain West Conference in 2022. They're getting Jake Haener back, Jalen Cropper, some other weapons on the offensive end, defensively. That's going to be a good football team, even though that Kalen DeBoer is no longer that head coach. And then Air Force there as well is going to be a tricky one to cap off the season with. When I look at the San Diego State team, I think it's hard to see another 11-win season just because of the schedule that they have. But this is the team that can absolutely still push for a shot at the conference championship game. I have them at 9-3 in 2022. I can absolutely see a 10-win season, but I think that's their ceiling with how difficult this schedule looks. Again, I think a lot relies on if the offense can really take some steps forward this year with even how much they've lost. I think the defense is going to be just fine. Watch the offense for San Diego State this year. Let's see how they do. I got this Aztecs team at 9-3 and should still be able to sport one of the better defenses in the nation this year. That's going to do it for my talk on the Aztecs. Be sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Anything like that does help support the channel. And remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.